Go inside the Crimson Tide with your hosts Rodney Orr and Gary Harris, keeping you informed on everything Alabama. Tider Insider TV, brought to you by Tuscaloosa Tourism and Sports.
All right, hello again, everybody. I'm Gary Harris with Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com, and I know it's Wednesday, and not the usual, but the 4th of July obviously was on Tuesday. We were off, so we didn't want to skip Tider Insider TV, so we're coming to you a day late, and we hope in your case it's better late than never. It certainly is in our case, and the program is being brought to you by Tuscaloosa Tourism and Sports, and we are ready to get going. Rodney, you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Day late, you got it? You got your A game?
I'm ready.
All right, let's jump in with some Bama football recruiting, because that's always a great place to start. A commitment for the Tide from four-star Jameer Grimsley from Tampa-Catholic High School. He is a cornerback, and this is a guy who kind of fits the prototypical cornerback build that you're looking for in this day and age. He's tall, about 6'2.5", close to 6'3", 185 pounds, so he's long, he's athletic, he can go up and battle with those big receivers, and he also has the quickness and athleticism to cover those little slot guys or those little speedster guys that can give you so much trouble. It came down to Alabama, Michigan, and Florida. Most thought it would either be the Crimson Tide or the Wolverines, and there you see his family with the Alabama T-shirts. Grimsley chose the Crimson Tide on Saturday. He becomes the 10th prospect in the Tide's 2024 class. Alabama is currently rated just 23 by 247 Sports Composite, but again, only 10 commitments as opposed to some other schools that have 18, 20, 22, 23. But Rodney, Alabama, I think, is in good shape. And this, again, Travaris Robinson, the secondary coach, has a lot of ties in the state of Florida. He did some good work here. Again, this is another one of those positions, a lot like offensive tackle. You miss sometimes. It's hard to project, but he has the measurables. He has the look of a guy that can play at this level.
Yeah, and I think the one thing he has, too, is the versatility. I mean, not just a corner. He could play the nickel position. He could be a safety. I mean, he has the height, the range, the athleticism. And, again, I think when you start looking at the rankings, Gary, maybe as we get closer to signing day, you're going to see his stock go up. I think as the rankings, as they continue to evaluate him, he's just so athletic. He's so versatile. You look at him as a receiver, he's a guy that understands that position as well. He could probably be a receiver on this level. Really goes up, battles for the ball really well. Gary, it's like they say, he has great ball skills. He knows how to compete when the ball's in the air. You
mentioned his ability as a two-way player, and again, they're looking at him as a cornerback first.
Sure.
But because of his size, that is always a nice option to have. If for whatever reason he gets here and maybe they're log jammed at corner or it's not working out for him, you can always take a look at him on offense. Here you see him right here as a wide receiver.
Yeah, again, he's got a lot of skills. I watched his highlights from his season, made a lot of big plays. As I said, he competes really well when the ball's in the air. And I think, look, when you can play both ways, you understand what a receiver does, how a receiver thinks. I think that helps a lot as a cornerback, and vice versa. So, again, I like his versatility. He could play offense, he could play defense. Like you said, he's recruited as a corner, but he can play a lot of positions in that secondary.
All right, on the 4th of July, Independence Day, America's birthday, we look forward to barbecue. We look forward to the swimming pool, fireworks, and people on TiderInsider.com look forward to your Firecracker Five. It's become a tradition at TiderInsider.com. It's a look at some of the top prospects that you think are about to pull the trigger or could in the near future for Alabama. Let's start with four-star quarterback Xavier Brown of famed Mater Dei High School in Santa Ana, California, scheduled to make his commitment coming up on Sunday. The finalist, Alabama and USC. He's considered a top 5 quarterback prospect in the class of 2024. And anytime you're going up against Southern Cal for a California prospect, you know it's going to be tough. How do you like Alabama's chances?
Yeah, well, we projected him to Alabama. All the guys in the Firecracker Five,
projected
those five guys, are projected to Alabama. Yeah, and he came here as a freshman in high school, camped here, really impressed the coaching staff at the time, and earned an early offer. So he's a guy that Alabama's been recruiting a long time. And you talk about relationships in recruiting, I think this is a key. The fact that he's got a good relationship with the Alabama coaches. I think he's one of the top 5 corners in the country in this class. And the way I see it now, Gary, I think Alabama's in good position.
As we continue with the Firecracker Five, Casey Poe, an offensive lineman out of Lindale High School in Texas, a guy you talked about a lot on my radio show. You think he's one of the top offensive linemen in the country, even though at 280 pounds, he's not as big as some, but very athletic, very smart, very strong, and is certainly going to add weight, and he's a guy that you feel like is going to wind up at Alabama.
Yeah, he's got what they call a nasty streak, which is really what you want to see in an offensive lineman for sure. Pick Casey Poe again to Alabama. He's got a lot of offers. Auburn, Clemson, Georgia, LSU, Oklahoma. You go down the list. He's visited a lot of these schools. I think he's generally considered the #1 interior offensive lineman in the country.
And as we continue, Caleb Odom, 4-star player out of Georgia, one of the nation's top 5 tight ends. You also have him in the Firecracker Five. Of course, Alabama's had a lot of success recruiting in Georgia, even the last couple of years with all the success that Kirby Smart and the Bulldogs have had.
Yeah, he's a top 5 tight end in the country. And again, you mentioned Kirby Smart. They've recruited tight ends really, really well. And this guy, I like Caleb Odom, Gary. When you look at him, look at his height, look at his frame. He can fill out. Kind of a little bit reminds you of Mari Nyblack when he came out a year or so ago. The guy that's going to be a really talented sophomore here at Alabama. Guy who can make plays down the field as a receiver. Again, you name the schools, a lot of them after them. Alabama's in really good shape.
We spotlighted those 3 in the Firecracker Five because they're all going to commit within the next 10 days, Rodney, so that's why we want to spotlight them. But it will make Alabama fans happy to know that you're also, whenever it happens, projecting DeMarcus Riddick out of Chilton County, the linebacker committed to Georgia, to eventually flip to Alabama.
That's going to be a real challenge, too, because, again, he's committed to Georgia. Auburn's recruiting him extremely hard, so it's going to be a challenge. But on July 26th right now, I've got Alabama. And
we don't know when Jordan Seaton, offensive lineman out of IMG Academy, where Alabama's had a ton of success, is going to commit, but he's another one that you project in the Firecracker Five.
He is, and Gary, when you look at him and you look at the success that Alabama's had with IMG offensive lineman, Evan Neal, former NFL first-round pick. Obviously, you got J.C. Latham and Tyler Booker here now. And another guy, didn't mention him, Gary, but we should because he's local. Brookwood star, William Sanders.
Fast riser.
Let me tell you. This guy, as an interior offensive lineman, is a mauler.
He's what you call a road grader.
And I feel good about Alabama.
And I can't wait to watch him this fall there at Brookwood High School, just down the road here in Tuscaloosa County. All right, that's the Firecracker Five, but we're going to keep the fireworks coming. Still to come on this day after 4th of July edition of TITV. 2023 SEC Player of the Year, Brandon Miller, had his first taste of NBA action on Monday night in the California Summer Classic. We'll get the highs and the lows. And head basketball coach Nate Oates continues to utilize the transfer portal. I mean, this guy really knows how to get it done. Roster management's important in this day and age. Another edition for Bama in basketball. And we'll be getting to your phone calls, emails, and tweets. As always, the phone number 205-348-WVUA. That's 348-9882. Or you can email us at the address on your screen or even tweet at us. Use that hashtag TITV. We'll be right back with the only show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide, Tider Insider TV. And welcome back to TITV, brought to you by Tuscaloosa Tourism and Sports, alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com. I'm WVUA 23 Sports Director Gary Harris. Alabama head basketball coach Nate Oates has had a busy offseason. He had to replace all 3 members of his coaching staff. The final hire became official on Monday with Preston Murphy coming in after a 2-year show calls at Creighton. Of course, he also had to reload the roster. Alabama has gone to the transfer portal again to get forward Mohammed Wague from West Virginia, who is a guy who's long, 6'10", about 225 pounds. Now, his stats won't blow you over. He averaged about 4 points and 3 rebounds last year, but he was just kind of finding his way in late February when he suffered a stress fracture in his right foot and was lost for the season. Again, big guy, 4.1 points, 3.1 rebounds, and 10.7 minutes of action off the bench. And, Rodney, when you need front court help, and Alabama does, to be able to get a player of this caliber this late in the process out of the portal is huge.
Yeah. I mean, look at his athleticism. What, a former soccer player, right? I mean, that's really what he initially did. You look at him, he's just kind of scratching the surface. I think they've got a lot to work with here potentially, Gary. You got the size, the athleticism. Really like what I see from this tape.
Yeah, the size is there. You're looking for a rim protector on defense with Bediako moving on to the NBA. Let me say this. I said this on my radio show. Think about this. You think most coaches in the country would take this starting 5? Javon Quinterly at point guard. The kid that went to Michigan, help me out. Namari Burnett at the 2, Brandon Miller at the 3, Noah Clowney at the 4, and Charles Bediako at the 5. That's a Final Four caliber starting 5. All of them were eligible to return to Alabama this year. And, of course, we know they didn't. But that's what you're losing. That's the type of talent that you're losing. But you bring in Wague and also 6'11" forward, of course, Grant Nelson out of North Dakota State coming in. We talked about him a lot here on the programs in recent weeks, but now it's official. He's coming to Alabama. This is a guy, as we're watching his highlight tape, that has explosiveness, has this incredible spin move that he uses, has range out to the three-point line. This is a very talented basketball player.
I really like him. I mean, this is a guy that had Alabama fans just waiting on the edge, for him to make that announcement. We've talked about him, 3 weeks on the show now, Gary, about the transfer for it to finally come through. There you go. He had a really good game against Arkansas this past season. So he's a guy that's played against SEC competition a time or two. And you look at him there and, you add him with Wague, you got something to work with.
And, of course, Jaron Stevenson committed a couple of weeks ago, reclassifying to 2023 6'10" player out of North Carolina that chose Bama over the Tar Heels. You've got another freshman, Sam Walters, coming in. So, Rodney, it's going to be a new-look team, but I want, again, a comment on Coach Oates and his ability in the modern game to coach the way you have to coach and recruit the way you have to recruit. Man, it's year to year. In some cases, it may be month to month. I mean, they thought Quinterly was coming back. You've got to be able to use the portal. You've got to be able to be fluid in your decision-making process. And now, all of a sudden, despite losing so much talent from an SEC regular season and tournament championship team, number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, this roster looks like it's going to be very competitive.
Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult. Like you said month to month. And, I mean, look, day to day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just really difficult, the challenge that it is to keep your roster together. But what he has done is pretty phenomenal.
All right, let's move on to one of those guys that could have come back, although I don't think we ever expected him to from the time he got here. Brandon Miller was slotted to be one and done. He made his NBA Summer League debut on Monday night against Charles Bediako and the San Antonio Spurs Summer League team in the California Classic out in Sacramento. He got off to a slow start in this one, Rodney. He's such a facilitator. He was looking to get his teammates involved. And quite frankly, in the first half, it was not very memorable. You're going to see the up and down call here for the travel. He only had 6 points going into the fourth quarter, but he got it going in the fourth quarter because he is explosive. Made 3 3-pointers and had an unbelievable move to the basket late in that game for a 3-point play. So he wound up with 18 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists in that game. That was his first field goal right there. Bediako, 5 points and 3 rebounds. And right now, Miller is playing again against the Warriors and not getting it done scoring-wise. 3.7 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 turnovers in that game. But let me say this, Rod. I love his game, but this is the Summer League. You're the number 2 overall pick. Shoot the ball. Shoot the ball. I mean, be a little bit selfish. Shoot the basketball. I'm getting frustrated watching him. This is the Summer League. You're the number 2 overall pick. Score the basketball.
Yeah. Well, hey,
these games don't count.
We'll see.
I mean, Beal, they're going to play, when they get in the regular season, and here we're going to watch a little more of him, he's got the incredible range, and he's got the ability to light it up. And I understand he's an assist guy. I understand that he likes to get his teammates involved. But let these fans see what you're capable of. That's really what they want to see you doing is scoring the basketball. And I want to stay with these highlights because I do want you to see this final basket that he got the other night. Here it comes. Watch it. Behind the back. And then watch this, Rod. Hang time and the foul. So the fact that he's only got 3 points tonight, that bothers me. I'm not going to lie. He just hasn't shot the ball much either. So start shooting it. And I can mention Bediako trying to stick with the Spurs as an undrafted free agent. Of course, Noah Clowney, number 1 pick, number 21 overall by the Brooklyn Nets. So he's trying to make a name for himself this year in the NBA as well. But your thoughts on Miller? Am I being a little too hard on him?
No, I mean, but again, it's early. I mean, he's just kind of getting the feel of, but I know how you are. I know what your expectations are. But, no, I mean, you saw there. I mean, we saw the highlights. Yeah. You saw what he can do. I mean, he's going to be phenomenal.
You're the number 2 overall pick, though. Your fans want to see you score the basketball, and he can do it. So start taking more shots. All right, still to come on TITV, Crimson Tide sophomore golfer Nick Dunlap is on an amateur tear. And we'll get into your phone calls, emails, and tweets. And I'm told phone lines are open right now. It's that time of the year, but give us a call, 205-348-WVUA. That's 348-9882. Call now. We'd love to hear from you next on TITV. Alabama men's golfer Nick Dunlap has been on a roll. He won his second major amateur tournament in as many weeks, taking the trophy at the 123rd North and South Amateur over the weekend. He had also, is the second week that Dunlap has come back from behind as he went into the day 2 strokes behind through 10 holes, but he got it done. Again, this is one of the top amateur golfers in the country. Hopefully he'll be back at Alabama for another season. He's already played in the U.S. Open, and he's in good shape to make it onto the Walker Cup, which is the amateur version of the Ryder Cup. All right, welcome back into TITV with Rodney Orr. I'm Gary Harris, and we got phone lines open right now at 205-348-9882. That's 348-WVUA. Let's jump out there, though, and talk with Stephen over in Trussville. Hey, Steve, how are you?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call tonight.
Yeah.
I was hoping that y'all might explain to me this concept of reclassification. It seems like high school athletes are seniors to be one day, and the next day they're graduates. And I was just wondering if y'all know how this works and could kind of explain to me.
We sure can, Steve. You just get enough credits that you can graduate early. I mean, you know, we see it in college now too. You know, used to you came to college, sometimes it was 4, sometimes 5 years before these guys got their degrees. Now they go through all through the summer. We see guys graduating in 3 years. Same thing in high school. They take accelerated classes. Some of these guys do. They take classes during the summer, and then they kind of get themselves in position to make a decision if they want to try to reclassify. Stevenson did that and had enough credits to graduate early and finish up as a senior, so he gets to enroll in college early. It's just simply that simple. They don't let you just do it because you want to, but if you have the academic credits and you've done the work in place to graduate early, then that's an option that some of these guys are taking. Not all of them, but some of them.
Yep. Des Ricks is another one in football. Was a 5-star rated cornerback at IMG Academy, and now he's with Alabama. Of course, he reclassified.
Yeah, so it's, again, Steve, you see the ones that we talk about because they've done it, but there's a lot more of them still that don't and aren't in position to do it. You still have to be not only a very good athlete that somebody wants you to reclassify from an athletic standpoint, but also academically, you have to be able to do the work. All right, let's get to BT in Tuscaloosa is with us here on the phone lines. Hey, BT, how are you?
Good. Gary, Rodney, how about y'all?
Doing well.
I want to ask about the, Gary, you talk about the transport of West Virginia and all them. I think they'll fit in this program good, don't you?
Absolutely, I do. Rodney, I think we've talked about Wague and Grant Nelson, of course, the 2 guards that have been in, here for some time now. I think when you recruit the portal, you recruit it a lot like you recruit high school players. It's just with more immediacy, but you're looking for guys that are talented and fit your program. And there's a lot of them out there in the portal, but you try to find the guys that you think give you the best opportunity to be successful.
You do. And guys that fill immediate needs. I mean, when you look at what Alabama's done, Estrada, bringing in Aaron Estrada, Right Shell, both those guys are scorers, guys that can load it up. So, again, you're looking for guys that can fill needs.
All right. Thanks for the phone calls. We're not done. More phone calls, and our email question of the day is coming up when TITV continues. There's the phone number, 205-348-WVUA, 348-9882. We'll be back after this. And welcome back to TITV with Rodney Orr. I'm Gary Harris, and I know we had a couple issues on the phone. We've got some questions that we didn't get to take on air. We'll try to get to them if we have time. But right now, we're going to get to our email of the day, and the email question of the day is brought to you by KDM Service Corporation, serving your family like our family. Remember, when it comes to your heating and air conditioning needs, and we need air conditioning right now, KDM Service Corporation will do it right. All right, our email question of the day, will it be Nick Saban or Kevin Steele's defense this season? That's from Brock in Tuscaloosa, and I think that's a good question because there's so much talk the last few years with Pete Golding. Well, it's Nick Saban's defense, not Pete Golding's defense. Whose defense is it going to be this year?
Look, everything is Saban's, but at the same time, I think Kevin Steele's going to have a really big impact. I think there's some things that he's going to do defensively in terms of maybe, if you want to say, simplifying some calls, some things that are going to allow players to play faster, to think less. Gary, I think that's something that's going to be really helpful. And again, Nick Saban really trusts Kevin Steele, the relationship they've had through the years. You don't get hired 3 times on Nick Saban's staff if you don't have that trust. So there's a great trust there. They'll work together, but it's Saban's defense.
Yeah, and I do think that I've said this before, the experience that Kevin Steele has, his familiarity with Saban, not that other coaches won't, but I do think he won't be afraid if there is a clash in terms of philosophy to battle Saban in terms of this is what we need to do in this situation. So I think they'll compromise and work together. But I think Kevin Steele will stand his ground as far as, implementing things that he wants implemented. And like you said, ultimately, though, Nick Saban signs off on any and everything in that football program.
Right. And again, you touched on it. Just their relationship, the familiarity, I think is really big.
All right, we're going to get to another email. This is from Les in Atlanta. Can Jamil Burroughs return to Alabama? The defensive tackle went into the portal. Rodney, I assume that he could if Alabama wanted him back. I don't expect that, do you? I mean, I think he's moved on to the portal to find another destination. Now, I don't think he's graduated. So my understanding is that number 98, if he does go to another school, I think he's going to have to sit out this year.
Yeah, I think he would. Again, and I'm not clear on his graduate status either. So if he has, then obviously he can transfer and play immediately, but I don't think he has.
All right, let's get to the break, and we're going to come back with some big news on Jim Wells, the former Alabama baseball coach. Deserving news, and we'll try maybe if we have time to answer one of these phone calls that we did not get to that we had some issues with. We'll try to do all that when we come back to wrap it up right after this. Great guy, Jim Wells. Love the guy. Best baseball coach, and Barry Schallenberger is good, and there have been others. Joe Sewell, the legendary Hall of Famer. But you're talking about Jim Wells, man. He took him to 3 World Series and won a lot of games here, SEC Tournament Championships, regular season championships. He's going into the American Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame. That announced today. Rodney, I know you knew Coach Wells very well, too. I mean, this guy was good. I still am shocked that he never coached anywhere else after Alabama, as far as a major college.
Yeah, I mean, what a job he did here, Gary. No question about that. And again, you mentioned the College World Series took Alabama. Alabama was number 1 within a game of winning a national championship. So he did an incredible job.
And real quickly, CC from Shelby County called in about the 4th softball coach. It's my understanding that I don't know when that's supposed to be approved, and Alabama will look to add another softball coach. I think it's supposed to be maybe this month, but I'm not sure. All right, that is going to do it for this edition of TITV. A reminder, you can catch a replay tonight, or tell somebody that didn't get to watch it, 10:30 on WVUA 23, or also find it anytime at WVUA23.com. For Rodney Orr, I'm Gary Harris. Thanks for watching, everybody. Good night.